His subject is what Hygge, oh shit, I practiced pronouncing it right. You see, how do I say it? Hygge. Hygge can teach us about self-care when changing our drinking. Yasmin's been volunteering with us in the office, and she has been taking the piss out of me all week for the fact that I say Hygge and not Hygge, and she thought it was hilarious and that I should get it right for today. So Hygge. And I'm really well aware that it's one of those things that is really popular at the minute in the UK, that we read about something that's new and foreign and exotic, and really it's just another word for being cosy. But in order to prepare for actually the tea salon I've got this Wednesday with Kyle, I decided that I would actually read a book that my mum got Lucy for Christmas, which is the Hygge book, in order to read a little bit more and see what there was in there. And when I opened it up, I realised there's lots in there for us to learn about, not just about what being cosy means and what self-care means, but about how we might think through those things as the seasons change. I didn't like to tell my mum that I actually don't think Finns do Hygge. I think they just have saunas and hit themselves with branches. I think that's how it works. They're not Scandinavian, they're Nordic, in case you need to know. But I'm very grateful for the book nonetheless. The reason why I thought it would be really useful to touch on today is that when we talked about the myths over the last 2 weeks, there is what I used to have, which was a contentment myth. And what do I mean by contentment myth? As I drink some homemade hot chocolate. What I mean is that I used to feel that I was treating myself and being good to myself by sitting in a pub, by getting there earlier than the person I was due to meet, or going there on the way to a meeting, or finding an excuse to pop in and drink a glass of wine while reading a newspaper or a book. And I'd sit there and look at the world, and I'd take a big sigh, and I'd think, oh, I'm being really good to myself. I feel really content right now. And actually, with my first glass of wine, that was probably true. It would have begun to hit my brain and began to relax me a bit. But actually, the thing that was really important was I was stopping still for a few minutes. I was taking time for myself. I was sitting down and I was relaxing. What I failed to see was that it was all of those things that were quite important about that situation, not the fact that I was having wine. And so when I first gave up, one of the things that I missed wasn't the big socialising, going out and blaring and going, hey, isn't life amazing? But it was that feeling of those moments of contentment that I had set aside for myself, and that psychological connection with those points in time. And I think it was a glorious piece of myth, because all I was doing was recognising that there was a need, and my need was to relax, take care of myself, take some time out, sit down for a few minutes, and manage to subvert it into another excuse to drink alcohol. And what I discover is that we all do that to some degree. We'll find different moments in time that we think are totally the responsibility or the result of imbibing alcohol, when really they're about the other thing that we're doing, or the thing that we really need to do. And one of those is the change of seasons. And it's really funny because everyone sits in the group and goes, oh, summer's coming, it's really hard sitting outside, that's a big trigger for me. Guess what, guys? Winter's coming, and I reckon you're going to find that hard, because sitting inside cosy with a glass of red wine, oh, that's a real big trigger for you. You'll see what we've managed to do is create a set of behaviours around a change of season that also justifies our drinking. But what we really want to do is to go, right, the seasons are changing and it's getting cold and it's rainy outside and I want to go out a bit less. What I need to do is to learn how to relax and be comfortable in my own home. That doesn't mean you need to drink. That's the myth you created in order to justify your drinking. So yes, we need to hunker down a bit in the winter, but it doesn't need to be a trigger. It doesn't need to be a trigger if you plan, and if you really recognise the fact that thinking that alcohol, a hot toddy, a warm glass of red wine, or whatever, if you begin to think of those as the only way you can get cozy, then what you're doing is missing out on really looking after the real thing that your body's telling you, which is that it's winter and it's cold and you want to be warm and you want to feel loved and you want to feel cared for and you want to feel safe and you want to avoid the winds and the rain. That's what you really need to do. So I love all these myths around seasons, because there's always a season to drink. There's always a job, an industry that involves a lot of drinking. There isn't anybody who tells me that these things aren't triggers, and that's because we've made them triggers. So yes, really interesting on how we manage to cultivate myths around other social norms in order to justify our drinking. I also think Hygge itself, when I was reading this, sheds light on UK social norms. So for me, the real learning isn't, we all know if you talk about Hygge, we will think, candles and warm blankets. But actually, that's not the real big issue. I think all of us, through some form of trial and error throughout our life, have worked out, a style of lighting that we like that makes us feel comfortable, a whole set of blankets and water bottles that we quite like. You might have a favourite onesie. We've all learned ways to be comfortable. But what Hygge does is it says socialising doesn't have to be this big thing in a pub. It doesn't have to be awkward dinner parties. It doesn't have to be fancy cocktails. It doesn't have to be high pressure vertical drinking in the pub. That's not a good night out. In Denmark, it's about being with people and being close to people. And a really good bar chart, I'm going to share a bar chart with you that I'm going to share with you, is that actually Hygge, oh God, I'm never going to say it right. For those countries that do it, alcohol is really low down the list of the things that are most important. Hot drinks, board games, fireplaces, music, cooking, books, birthdays, television. They are all the really important parts. Alcohol is a very small part, but actually it's still a very social activity. So what it says to me automatically is that we've got some very culturally defined norms about what makes a good night out, and we don't ever question them. We don't say, well, actually, if I want to spend time with people, is it really about getting stressed and pressured to dress up and go out and get a taxi and go to a particular bar because everyone says it's amazing? Or is it working out how I spend time with these people? I remember not long after moving here with UC that a friend of mine came round, and he just came round and had a bit of dinner, and we sat on the sofa and talked. And I realised how long it is since I've actually done that with somebody, partly because of a number of circumstances, but because whenever we meet, the first British default is to say, oh, well, we need to go for a drink, we need to go to a bar. We don't say, oh, come round and chill out and just watch a bit of crap telly with me and drink tea. But that's actually what we used to do when we were kids, isn't it? Just hang around each other's house, watch cartoons. Oh, I love watching cartoons. In fact, with that same friend, we decided we both had such a stressful day, we sat and watched a Disney cartoon and drank hot chocolate. Oh God, it was lovely. So you see that we've got some really socially prescribed norms about going out, when actually going out doesn't have to be this high pressure. It can be really relaxed. It doesn't have to be cooking an exceptional meal at home as if we're on MasterChef. It could just be, cooking a casserole and just spending time with each other. So we've created a style of socialising that in itself encourages us to drink more than we want to, and often drink in order to stay there because we're not enjoying ourselves, because we feel overly pressured. Again, totally and utterly ridiculous. So what is it that we can learn from Hygge? Wait a minute, you see, tell me what it is again? Hygge. I'm never going to get this right, guys. You're just going to have to just ridicule me, which I know is, part of the course. Okay, so we've recognised that we've got some social norms around socialising that we can actually throw away. and look at other cultures for some inspiration around the fact that being with people or even being on our own can involve different ways of being. And the most important part of that is about being happy. Now, often when we're out, we're drinking because we're not happy, we're not enjoying the situation, we might have been stressed getting there, we don't really want to be there, we're going because we've expected to be there. And so we drink in order to hit the happy pleasure centres, in order to help us be happy in an environment where we're told to be happy. But actually, being content, being comforted, actually can make us happy in its own right. It is important to our well-being. Happiness releases a neurohormone called oxytocin, which reduces fear, stress and pain. So if we want to reduce stress and pain, we don't need to drink. We just need to think about things that will make us happy, doing things that will make us happy. And if we're happier and think through the things that make us happy, then what we're building is a new set of tools that will take us through our journey of changing our drinking. It will allow us to pull on things other than alcohol. So beginning to think through the things that give us joy, the things that make us relax, the things that make us content, the things that make us happy. The real thing that made me content when sitting in the pub was taking some time for myself and reading a book. So why don't I just do that when I want to feel happy at home or for an evening to myself? You know, so beginning to recognise those is a really important part of giving yourself a bit of bolstering, a bit of cotton wool to protect yourself with as you go through this difficult change. Moreover, if you feel your happiness rather than artificially stimulating it, and then obviously dulling it with alcohol, because while we might feel stimulated and happy in the moment with alcohol, it comes to a whole heap of depressive feelings afterwards, particularly around guilt and anxiety, particularly if we're drinking too much and we're feeling we don't want to do that anymore. So if we're feeling the happiness, we're more likely to remember it. It will last longer. We're more likely to draw on that memory the following day in order to make us feel happy again. And we may be able to, if we're feeling that things make us happy, we may be able to discover the real things that we need to concentrate our time on. So, like I've often said, that I realised that there was a point when I was drinking at my heaviest where I always thought I was a people person, and I began to really sit there and go, oh God, I thought I was a people person, but I really can't deal with people these days, and I don't really enjoy being with people. And I wasn't enjoying being with people because I didn't really have the energy to deal with people. I didn't really have the energy to sustain a conversation. I was continually hungover drunk. There's this tiny window in the middle where I might have been a really nice person to be with, but I was beginning to not feel like a people person because I was always feeling so bad. What I discovered after giving up drinking, and really quickly in the first couple of months, was how much I enjoy spending time with people when I can listen and focus on the conversation, and when I had the energy to do that. And for me, that became one of the things that sustained me through the first 3 to 6 months of changing my drinking when things were the hardest, because I realised that actually what I had to do was connect with people. It gave me energy, and that gave me the energy to change. The other reason why Hygge is really important is because it's a combination of things. It's not just about the happiness. It's also about the fact that it makes you feel calm and safe. You feel calm because you've put things around you that elicit calm, that you have created an environment that creates calm, that you might have brought people into your space that make you feel calm and happy rather than stressed and tense. And you feel safe because you're with people that care about you and you care about. So it's not just about creating an environment that's about happiness, because we can't be continually 100% happy all the time. It's also about the calmness and safeness. And so we're going to come on to a bit of that too. I'm just going to check any questions. Cool. Excellent. So what makes you feel happy, safe and calm? Well, whilst Hygge is about being with other people, Hygge is about being with other people, there's a lot in there that's about self-care. So whether you are with other people or not, there's a lot about planning how you might self-care. And it's not something that's bestowed upon you. I think that the Danes have got to this cultural norm of socialising through, like everything else in life, a trial and error, and the fact that they enjoyed it, and the fact that over time it's evolved into a way of being. You know, being in the pub isn't something natural to Brits. It's something we've developed as a nation over time. It's it's our own cultural appropriation. It's our cultural development. And so just like the Danes and the Brits, we can evolve what makes us feel calm and safe and happy through trial and error and over time. And just because you might try something once, it doesn't mean that you can't evolve it, modify it, and then try something else around that. But the most important thing I thought was in this book, and so I don't necessarily think it's written down anywhere, but in this book they have something called the Hygge Manifesto. See? And obviously it's my bias towards politics. I quite like the word manifesto, but the word manifesto is quite important because manifesto says it's something you're striving towards, that you're working towards. It's not something that's preordained. It's not there for you to pick up and take and use immediately. It is something you're trying to achieve and hoping to achieve, but also that you need to do things to achieve it. It's a very active word, I think, manifesto. And things don't happen by accident. And so it talks through a number of things that you can look at. So one is to create good atmosphere. And in Hygge, that's a lot about candles and lighting. And definitely I find changing the lighting in your home come Christmas and winter is really important for feeling cosy. And it can be candles, but it could also be, you know, you've seen the article about Kim's disco bath, where she's created this small mini techno nightclub environment that energizes her. So it might not be about the dull lighting, it might be about the amazing lighting. It might just be about turning down the lights a notch or two. It might be about creating a space within your home that's just for you, that you've got just as you want, so that when you sit in it, you feel calm, you feel relaxed. We've got a room in our flat which is very dark. It's got a tiny bit of light, even less so now that there's a flat being built next door. It's a really small room and it's virtually all a double bed. But that room is a place where I feel relaxed and snug and cosy in when I go into it. I like watching telly in it. The fact that we spend so much time in that tiny bit of room is hilarious, but it's an environment, an atmosphere we've created that makes me feel safe and content and comfortable. Presence, it's a really important part of it, not presence, presence. Turn off the phone and be present in the moment that you're in. Which means that when I'm in that room, I don't take a phone in, I don't look at things that are on Facebook. I turn that phone off and move it away. I focus on the TV programme that I'm watching or the radio programme that I'm listening to. So it could be that you think through time in your evening or day where you will definitely put aside that phone and do some things that are more nurturing. What I would call quality time, actually, because we can do lots with our time and we're always very focused on multitasking and doing lots with our time, but actually sometimes it's about the quality of that time. And there is a time for turning off the telephone, saying, actually, now I'm going to relax. I'm going to put some effort and time aside to relax. And I can't do that if I'm switched on to something else that's buzzing away and wanting my attention. And Hygge is about pleasure as well. So it's about warm and tasty and special drinks, not alcoholic drinks, but special drinks. So like I bought some hot chocolate. I did what I do with alcohol and I found an excuse to make hot chocolate, which is doing this webinar, to justify my hot chocolate drinking. But I made this hot chocolate myself from like all natural ingredients, cocoa and some honey and some curcuma and some maca and some cashew milk. So that makes it all right? That makes it all right. But there's nothing more lovely than holding your hand around a warm glass of something that you may have made and taken time to make. It feels even better when you make it yourself. It may be about favourite food. It may be about smells that are important to you. I've got a essential oils that I burn when I want to feel energized. And then, right, I've just bought this, which I know some of you would appreciate. I bought this candle, and it smells of open fires. So when all of you who have an open fire start posting your pictures of bloody open fires this year, I'm going to have my own version. I have to tell you, I also found that something very exciting, because this is probably the most expensive thing I've bought for a long time. It's a very expensive candle, and I bought it in Liberty's. And in Liberty's, I went in, I smelled it like this and said, well, how do I know what it smells like when it's lit? Because that doesn't really smell of anything. And literally, he tipped up the pot that was in the shop upside down and knocked out the candle, and then gave me the empty glass to smell. And it smelled how a candle would smell when it's burning. It was awesome. I guess there's a concentrated smell at the bottom from having been entrapped. And so yeah, it was really exciting, and always really nice when you find out something new. Anyway, shows how often I buy candles. You probably know all this stuff. And excuse the banging, it's Diwali celebration still here, and there's fireworks going on outside. Cool, so that's about a pleasure, warm and tasty special drinks, nice foods that are your favourite foods. This might be the one night that you treat yourself something unhealthy if you've been on a bit of a health kick. Some nice smells. So next is about equality. So if you're spending this time with other people, it's about sharing the tasks. It's not about you running around making it all perfect for everyone else and then getting to sit down tired at the end. A lot of you are juggling a lot of balls, you're looking after a lot of family, you've got children that you're caring for. And so it is really important that this doesn't become something else that you add to a list of things that becomes a chore, but it's something that you get to enjoy as well. And I'm really passionate about that, because we often find we spend more time looking after other people and not ourselves. And so it may be around equality that it's not about sharing the tasks and the airtime and the talking that we have, but it's about saying to everyone else, actually guys, can you leave me alone this evening? I need some time for myself, and this is what I want to do. So this is part of you about giving me some equity in time. In Denmark, that's also about, if you're in a group of people, about not hogging the airtime, which is a really important instruction to give me at any social engagement, because I always talk too much. So actually thinking constructively about equality of time is important too. The next is about gratitude. This may be as good as it gets, guys. You may not feel happier than this, or it may be, this one space that you get to give to yourself. It is your time to be happy. So don't ignore it. Feel grateful for it and all the things that have gone on in your life and the work and hard work you've put into changing your drinking. But it also proves that things don't have to be complicated or expensive to be good and nice and nurturing. We will run, the minute people talk about self-care, they talk about going and get your nails done and running off to a spa and all of that sort of stuff. And they're all really expensive things. And they're all things that marketing tell us are self-care. But actually self-care doesn't have to be expensive. It's about creating your own nest in your own space. It's Hygge is also about harmony. So making sure that you're spending time with people that you like, not people that you don't like, people that energize you, those radiators, not the drains, right? So it may be that if you want to invite some people into your space for a cozy evening of board games and sitting with blankets and woolly socks, that you choose people that you want to be there, that you want to spend time with, people that you've got nothing to prove anything to. Equally, it's about creating some time and space in your household where nobody's arguing, where everyone's sitting still, where not everyone's running around and shouting, about some still and compassionate time. But there is something really important about spending time with people that you're not continually having to prove yourself to, because proving yourself, feeling you have to be somebody you're not, is a really big trigger to drink. And actually spending time with people who don't expect anything of you but to be you, it's actually a really nurturing thing to do. Number 7 on the Hygge Hygge Manifesto is about comfort. So no fancy dress, no heels, no starched shirts and ties. It's all about wearing your coziest, tracksuit top. It's about warm socks. I haven't got to peak Hygge sock yet. This is peak Hygge sock for me, right? These go up to above my knee, and they were given to me by Yusi's mother. They are glorious and mad and wonderful, and often paired with a pair of cat ears that I wear on my head as well. Won't go for the onesie though, right? That's not me. But if the onesie's for you, that's absolutely fine. I know which of you wear onesies, so I'm not going to name any names, Sam. Anyway, cozy socks, warm jumpers. It's not about dressing up for anybody. You don't need to. If you've got bringing people into your space, then they already know you and care about you. And if you're on your own, then nobody cares, even if you dribble down your jumper as well. It's about truth, about keeping away from politics and emotional discussions and talking about the trivial. We're allowed to talk rubbish and talk crap. Some of my favourite times with one of my best friends isn't the times we weren't drinking. It's when we were talking with Come Dine With Me in the background. Completely frivolous, ridiculous programme. But it was just there in the background, and it gave us this space, this wonderful space to talk and chat. It's about togetherness, sharing memories, remembering good things. And so much of our drinking has been about, only remembering the first hour of any social occasion. This is about making new memories. This is about, just being with people or being with yourself and creating some good memories about what makes you feel comfortable and good. And it's about shelter. You should feel comfortable in your space. This is a place that you want to be, that you're not forced to be. This is a space you've created for yourself. This is you spending time with your tribe. So there. So the Hygge Manifesto, I think, is important because whether you want to wear zombie slippers at home, Justine, or whether, any of those things, it's about writing your own manifesto. So, yeah, there are some principles around Hygge, but you're somebody who's going through change. You're going through a difficult time. You're going through a time that may trigger you to want to drink. So what do you do to create contentment for you? For me, happy, safe and calm means a couple of different things. It means anticipation. So for me, planning something is part of that feeling excited, happy, safe and calm. So I did quite a bit of research over which candle to buy. I took some time to work out where to buy it. I also spent some time with a friend who was feeling upset one evening because he'd had an argument with his boyfriend. And I was telling him we were having a general chat over tea, and we was trying to sort out his issues. And then I told him about buying a candle, which seems like a really frivolous thing. But actually, I went off and bought this candle while him and his boyfriend made up, and then we met up again afterwards. Isn't it amazing what you can do when you're sober? You can have great conversations, you can nip out somewhere, you can meet someone again, you can make loads of things happen in an evening. And so this candle now has a very particular memory for me that I think is quite important. But the thought of buying it, deciding which one, how much I was prepared to spend, looking forward to planning a time to actually light the thing, that's all part of the time I've set aside for self-care. It makes it more exotic and special. So why not thinking through your manifesto for what makes you happy, safe and calm will be part of that journey in itself. For me, atmosphere is about nice lighting and different smells. I love smelling my granola cooking in the oven, for example. Getting this candle is about it. But sometimes I've got a daytime smell. Sometimes I've got an evening smell that I put on my oil burner. It's time to make this space feel like it's a bit more mine. Oh, I shouldn't say that out loud because this isn't my space. It's Yusi's, and I'm like just a squatter. But, when he's not here, for me, it's also about immersion. So it's about taking away the phone and everything, and taking away those temptations, actually physically removing my phone to a different room and concentrating on the thing I'm doing. I don't watch telly very often. So when I do watch it, if I can make sure that my time is uncomplicated, then I feel like I've had more of a break. It's about pleasure. So like things that I've taken time to make myself. It is about my woolen socks And it is about taking time to recognise how different I feel when I've taken this time for myself. So time is a really important part of this, and recognising the value and the quality of that time. So I think you should all go away and write your own manifesto around what self-care and being safe and calm and happy is. But there's also another thing I want to take I wanted to show you another table that's in the book, right, which is about the hours of time a day you spend doing something and how happy they make you. So obviously we'd all love to have sex all the time because that makes us really happy and doesn't take very long. I'm working on that one myself. I think I need to do more of that. But look at all those other things that we spend time doing that make us unhappy. And so it might not take long for you to create this sense of comfort for yourself, but it will give you an immense sense of happiness. So even if you can spend an hour feeling like you're cozy, that you're napping, look how long, napping doesn't take long, but it gives you a great, immense satisfaction. Same with television, same with exercise. Oh, really? Exercise? Really? Does it make you that happy? I think I might be missing something. Anyway, so have a little think through, because, these things don't have to take a great deal of time to make you happy. The other thing about Hygge, I touched on at the beginning, but I will go on to, is the fact that it's about reinventing socialising. If you begin to see that other people, other places socialise in a very different way to you, then you can begin to rethink what socialising means for you now that you're sober. What is it that you want to do rather than what you have to do? We always have this fear that changing our drink will mean we're missing out, but when we really probe under the surface, most of what we're missing out on is something that we weren't enjoying in the first place. So let's get down to the nub of what socialising is for us. For me, it's about spending time with people. It doesn't matter where that is, but it's about spending time with people that I like. There's a little bit of enjoying being nice to people that I like and doing something nice for them, like cooking or making something. Actually, going out for dinner isn't the most important thing to me anymore, because that's, to me, become a place where you both spend lots of money in order to be in each other's company, when actually you can do nice things for each other by spending time together, like picking a movie or cooking some food. So actually, I prefer to do that than go out to a restaurant. It may be that you don't enjoy the big crowds because you're more of an introvert. So actually spending time with people one-on-one is more important to you, or in small groups rather than big groups. So don't get me wrong, none of the things that we do to socialise are bad. It's just that they're quite predetermined by society telling us what makes a good night out. And actually it's now up to you to decide what makes a good night out. And it may be a mixture of all those things. It may be about adding some more social occasions in that don't involve hundreds of people, but involve 2 or 3 really close friends over your kitchen table, with some really lovely food that you've cooked. So start to make some traditions, some new traditions and some new memories. Memories are fun to make. You need to make some new ones. You need to remind yourself that socialising sober is possible and even desirable. So have a little think through who you want to spend time with. I actually have a list of people that I don't see often enough and want to see more of. And I've got a list of those. Whenever I think, I'm bored, or I'd like to spend some time with someone, or I'd like to go to the cinema, I go through that list and go, right, I haven't seen them for a while and I really enjoy their company. How am I going to do this? When I get together with them, we make some new memories, and making new memories is amazing because I used to forget, most nights out. So making new memories is really cool. You may want to venture out of home and begin to find a new tribe that you enjoy spending time with, who share your values or interests. It might be joining a sci-fi movie meetup group. It might be joining a cinema group. It might be joining the local WI. It might be about going walking. But beginning to put your feelers out to find some new people to bring into your tribe who share your interests is also important. It might be about reconnecting a bit more with nature. So Hygge isn't all about spending time inside the house. It can be about spending time outside, wrapped up with a nice woolly scarf and a hat on, talking as you walk. How can you engage the important people in your life around new traditions and enjoying new things together? I'm really taken this week by the number of pictures that some of you, because some of your kids are on half term, of some of the things that you've really enjoyed doing with your family. Those are brilliant memories, and not one of them involves a single drop of alcohol. You may want to take the pressure off certain set dates and create something new. So, for example, my mum's partner has 2 children who I'm friends with who have children themselves. My mum has 3 children that have no kids. I don't know how she's managed that, but none of us are having children. But I've realised my brothers don't really know my mum's partner's children. So when my mum's 60th came up a couple of years ago, I thought, what's the best gift I can give my mum? Actually, what my mum would love is all of us got together. There's never been a time when that's happened. So for her birthday, I created the Hygge Manifesto, where we all got together in a park, played silly games. My mum absolutely enjoyed creating Pass the Parcel. She absolutely loved doing that. We played this mad game of Pass the Parcel where I won drain cleaner or something. Anyway, and it was brilliant. So I now organise that event every year, and we've just had our 3rd Hygge Manifesto. We created a day that's special just for us, a new family tradition for a very modern family. It may be that you want to start celebrating the summer solstice, or the last Friday in November, or the first cherry blossom, or your dog's birthday, or even your sobriety day. It doesn't matter. You can make any new traditions you want and start to redefine what celebrating means for you, and create some occasions around those dates where you bring people together that you really care about. So Hygge teaches us a few things. It teaches us that socialising can be what we want it to be, and that we can create new memories and new traditions. That's within our power, but that we can also create those around what makes us feel comfortable, content and safe and happy. And I was thinking that actually I probably need to create a manifesto for our Club Soda socials about how we want them to be, so we can begin to create these events that are about our tribe, where everyone who comes along feels happy and safe and calm. Or maybe not me, because it involves some organisation and spreadsheets, but otherwise I'm calm. So I'm going to start thinking about that, and maybe we can think about that together. But I want you to know that most of all, what all of this is taking control, taking ownership back of your time that you spend at home alone, that you spend looking after yourself and being calm and enjoying the process of working out what that is, and then redefining what socialising is for you, so that you don't have to conform to a norm that probably wasn't making you very happy for a very long time. Cool, so I'm just having a look. So apart from sharing what your slippers are and all of those bits and pieces, I can't see any questions, so I'm going to leave it there. And I want to let you know just a bit about next week's webinar, because it's actually happening this Thursday, because I've got somebody external doing the webinar. So there won't be a webinar on Sunday, but what there will be is a webinar this Thursday, and what I'll do is repost it on Sunday in case anyone's looking. But do look out for our webinar with Annick this Thursday. And you can see that in the events section of the Club Soda page, and it will be on the email on Thursday and everything. So that would be cool. And what she wants to explore is the fact that booze promises you lots of things, that you can be happy, that you can be more confident, that you can be more relaxed. And she thinks you can do all of that yourself. A bit more of this is all within your control. Cool. So thank you all, guys. Like I said, if you enjoyed this webinar, please feel free to make a donation. And now I can see UC is just making his way to the kitchen to put his dinner on so we can have dinner now. So cool. Thank you, everybody.